What's up YouTube, Jay Traveling here, and today I want to talk about my crypto mining farm, what I plan on doing with it, do I plan on expanding, will I be buying more GPUs, which kind of goes in hand with expanding, and my plans as far as setup for it. Now, do I plan on buying GPUs and expanding? The answer is, in short, yes I do. I am buying GPUs more to upgrade. As far as power wise, I'm pretty maxed out. Currently it's not going to show on my PDUs, but I do have a lot of GPUs sitting in boxes, which kind of aggravates me and it aggravates all my crypto mining friends that I have. So many GPUs sitting in boxes, not on rigs. So I'll talk about that in a minute, how I combated that. But I did sell the GPUs for my 5600 XT rig recently. And I also sold my 5700 XT rig as a whole rig to a local crypto miner and friend of mine, just to get him into Ethereum before it goes proof of stake. And then I told him I'll work on his rigs. I pretty much set everything up for him. So I told him I'll swap his rigs over to something else to get him mining. As far as what he will mine, I don't know yet. It depends on what is currently profitable at the time, but I'll set him up with a few different flight sheets so he can just click and change it for whatever rig, whatever is profitable at the time. But as far as buying GPUs now, power wise, with them sold, I'm still at all my power banks. I use AAA PDUs with 2 banks on them, and then one PDU is 11 and 11 on the banks, so that one's pretty much maxed out. And then my other one is 11 and 5 on the banks, so I do have some power to use there. But in the meantime, I did set up a temporary rig, and that has a couple 3070 Ti's on it and a couple 3070 full hash rate cards. Then I did purchase a Z270 Strix motherboard with a 7700K, which is a little bit overkill for mining, but it came with it, and that's ready to go. And then if you remember my 9 GPU for the win rig, this rig I plan on splitting up into 2 rigs. Now the plan is to take the 5 GPUs off the 5 GPUs off of it. The 4 3070 Ti's and the 3080 Ti, and put them onto that other rig. And then the 3070 Ti that is on my my temporary rig will go onto that rig to complete it. And that'll be a 6-card rig. Now I'm going with 6 GPUs because it's a little bit harder to manage when they're so close together with airflow. And also if there's an issue with the rig. Now my For the Win rig has just been rock solid the whole time. I really didn't have any issues with it. So that was fine. But if other rigs like my 12 GPU 6600 and 6600 XT rig, I've had a few issues with it as far as powering it. And I also had an issue with one GPU, and I had to lower the overclock some. I'll still have an issue. It came down that it was actually a riser that was bad on it. And with 12 GPUs, it was a little bit of a struggle. Everything was real tight to get that GPU out. Luckily, it was on the top row. After I narrowed it down to what GPU it was, I did the GPU fan finds, found the GPU order and which one the actual card was, and it happened to just be on the top row. I was able to swap out the riser. It's been pretty solid since. Every once in a while I'll have a minor reboot, but that happens like maybe once a week, so it's not too big a deal. I just tweak some overclocks here and there to help combat that, to limit that to be very seldom. But this rig I'm going to do 3. Now another reason I'm doing 3, because when I split it, the other 6 GPU rig, I have 2 3090s sitting in the box and another 3070 full hash rate card sitting in the box on a shelf. And this just aggravates my friends, because you're looking at like 300 mega hash just sitting on a shelf. About that, like 250, like 310 mega hash sitting on the shelf. Now this other 6 GPU rig will consist of 2 3070 full hash rate cards, a 3080 full hash rate card, and then 3 3090, all 4 of the wing cards on that rig. Now that is going to be a powerful rig. It's going to take a lot of wattage, but it should pump out over 500 mega hash, which is pretty good in my opinion for one rig. And the other thing, I did purchase Octominers recently, so I have 4 cases coming, and I plan on setting up a 2nd grow tent. I would go with 1 large grow tent, but with space restrictions, I'm going to have to get a 2nd one and a 2nd 8-inch inline fan. And then 1 tent, I'm going to do 4 open air frames, and I will stack them. If you guys remember the stacking frames I designed and printed, they were in Red Panda's video. They're also in my Discord. You can get the file, and you can also purchase them directly from me when I print some more. But these will stack my frames. They're all Sluice V2 style, and I'll stack 4 frames in it, 2 stacks of 2 sitting side by side. So that should give me a pretty good big air gap at the top to suck out hot air and get air to the tops and heat rises. I don't know which rigs will be in that one and which ones will be in Octominers. And I did go with the X8 Ultra Octominers. I didn't want to do 12 card rigs. One that the 8X has slightly larger gaps between the cards, so that should help with some higher power ones. But I know my 8x6600 XT rig is going to go in one. My 20 series rig is going to go in one. And I plan on having a 30 series rig in one. So I do plan on purchasing a few more cards to finish that. I do plan on doing a Founders Edition rig in one, so I still need more cards for that one. And then I'll have some rigs inside the tent, and some may have to stay outside the tent. I think I have 9 rigs, so 8 will be inside tents and 1 will be outside the tent. I'm trying to get as many in them as I can, just for the summer months, to really control the heat and exhaust it right out the window. And I'm also working on getting filters for them. I kind of rigged it up, as you saw behind the temporary rig. You saw one, just a couple filters with it unzipped, just rigged up so that when the air sucks in through the negative pressure, it's going through a filter and keeping the rigs a little cleaner. Now, why I use filters, because I don't want the dust in there. I want to limit it as much as possible, and really I'd rather pay $10 per filter and change those out than be pulling rigs in and out of a tent and dusting them off, because it's just sucking up a bunch of dust from my basement. So that's why I use the filters. And I didn't think too much of it before until I pulled my 5600 XT rig out of it and compared it to the year that it's been in that tent, and I didn't touch it once, to cards that have been mining for 2 months. And the 5600 XT GPUs were much cleaner. There was hardly any dust on them, because through the negative pressure is pulling in from the sides through a screen, and it wasn't even a full filter, and the screens are just caked with dust. And I peel it off and clean that every once in a while. But that just shows me, okay, I really need to get filters, and I want to do the filters in the front lower, because when the negative pressure comes in, and I can block off the 2 screens with the Velcro thing they send with it, I can get the air coming in through the front where all the fans will be, and that'll be a cool fresh air, and then exhaust out the top. That's the plan for the Octominer tent. Maybe set up a little bit different. I'm kind of brainstorming some ideas. I may leave it unzipped with the Octominers hanging out and just blowing through it. But then I'm looking at, will that get them too dirty and I'll be dusting those rigs out like a bi-monthly basis because they are in a basement? Or should I do what I'm doing with my other tent and just kind of build something to get some filters in there and leave it for the most part unzipped? The reason I won't unzip it all the way is because when the exhaust is pulling out, I don't want it pulling air at the top of the tent, because it's kind of pointless. I want it pulling the negative air when it's pulling it in from the bottom, so it circulates up. So that's why I don't leave it fully unzipped. I try to just unzip it to the point where it'll have enough airflow and keep the cards cooler. Now, I did have my 130 series in there on the rack that I had in it. It did heat trap it. My 3080 started throttling, so I had to pull it back out. But that's pretty much my plans for my farm right now. I can make an update video on what exactly I have going on with it later on, but those are my plans going forward with the farm. I do plan on still buying a few more GPUs to finish off rigs, but that's about the extent of the expanding that I'm doing. At that point, I'll see where I'm at with power and see what else I can afford to power and get going. But until I'm fully set up, I'm going to have to pretty much put a pause on buying any more GPUs. But if I do get GPUs, it'll just be to upgrade a different one. Maybe get some more non-LHR cars to upgrade my LHR ones. But I'd like to hear what you guys are doing, what your plans with crypto mining are. If you're still just gung-ho on Ethereum, or if you're switching over to other algorithms and mining other coins, just just to have a small safety net and hope that that coin spikes up and you would mind it when difficulty was a lot lower and just banked up a lot of other coins. But this is what I plan on doing. I'd like to hear in the comments below what you guys are doing. If you're buying GPUs, if you're just selling yours off and getting out and investing, or switching over to staking coins or, you know, nodes. But thanks for checking this video out. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more.